Sandra, welcome to a very special episode once again of Asexualise, My Asexual Life. This debate to be full education about asexuality, all things asexual. I share my and asexual life journey in order to help you in yours. If you haven't already subscribed, what are you waiting for? Hit that great big subscribe button right here, right now. I go live right now or post a new video. First of all, if you didn't know who I am Sandra Bellamy, author of this awesome Asexual Perspectives book out on Amazon, where we discuss love, life, and sex from an asexual point of view. So let's crack on with today's show. So yes, this is a special dating and relationships video about attraction. So if you're asexual, there's a myth that you can't experience any type of attraction. But asexuality is based on a lack of sexual attraction, and there are multiple other attractions you could have for someone. This may vary from person to person and also where you fall on the asexual spectrum. Someone, for example, who's an aromantic asexual, often pronounced aromantic asexual, is someone who doesn't experience any romantic attraction whatsoever, although that has its own spectrum within aromanticism. So, you know, there's variations. So, for example, someone could be a grey romantic, which means they only experience romantic attraction in limited or rare or specific circumstances, but not enough to want to act on it. They could be demi-romantic, so they can only experience romance when a deep emotional bond has been formed. And so you kind of get the picture. And so they can be different types of attractions, like I said. And in this video, I want to talk to you about sensual, romantic, and aesthetic attraction versus sexual attraction. So sexual attraction is what sexuals experience, as in heterosexuals, homosexuals, pansexuals, and bisexuals. They all experience sexual attraction. Now, what does this actually mean? Sexual attraction is the need, urge, want for partnered sexual intercourse. It's when you see someone and you feel like I'd really want to have sex with them right now, you know, and this may be a stranger, it may be someone you're familiar with or know, may even be a best friend. So yeah, that is sexual attraction. And, you know, attraction to some extent is involuntary, you know, but it's also, you can put yourself in the position of being in the right place at the right time to experience certain types of attraction. When people wear certain clothes, for example, you might have clothes attraction for certain clothes. I know I get that. And so, you know, it's about the individual, about where they fall on the asexual spectrum, if they do, and also about, you know, how they experience attraction. But if you're a sexual person, as opposed to an asexual person, you would experience the need, urge, want for partner sexual intercourse. This is what separates asexuals from sexuals, otherwise known as allosexuals, you know, like basically not asexual. So a sexual person experiences sexual attraction. They get the need, urge, want, like I said, for partner sexual intercourse with a specific person or people. Asexuals, on the other hand, lack sexual attraction. That is what our core foundation sexuality is based on. Now, asexuality is also a spectrum, which is where it gets really confusing, because asexuality is a lack of sexual attraction. A pure asexual doesn't experience any sexual attraction whatsoever. A grey asexual can experience sexual attraction, but only in limited, rare, or specific circumstances usually, or they can experience it, but not enough to want to act on it, right? So if we're taking a scenario from my life recently, you might have heard that I finally got to kiss a 21-year-old Indian guy in the UK, British born actually, and he's heterosexual, not asexual. So for him, the experience of attraction to me is probably very different to what I was experiencing at the time. So for me, I noticed as I dated him, which was very briefly, I noticed things about myself, which I always feel that no matter who you date, who you see, what relationship you get into, or what dating experience you have, or what life experience you have, it always adds value to your life in some way. As in, you always find out something about yourself. You discover more about yourself. So I discovered through kissing this beautiful heterosexual Indian guy, who I was very highly aesthetically attracted to, I discovered that kissing really isn't enough for me. Like, I love kissing so much, and I would want to be kissing a big part of my relationship with a person, but I want an actual relationship. I don't just want kissing. And if I continue to see him after that first date, then it would have been just the kissing he wanted, and I want to be valued as an actual person. And I also noticed that I need 3 other types of attraction in a relationship, and kind of like well, actually there's 4 types. But basically when I was with him, he is experiencing sexual attraction. Obviously he's thinking I'm hot, I'm, you know, really gorgeous, beautiful. He'd like to do sexual stuff with me, but knows that he couldn't do a lot of those things he'd like to do because I am asexual, and explain about my boundaries and what's not on the table, what he's not allowed to do, which is a lot of sexual stuff. Mostly just kissing and put his hands behind my back, but we were kissing very passionately, and it was very sexual behaviour kissing we were doing, to be quite honest. And it was more intimate than I would usually allow on a date. You know, very much more. So that was kind of weird for me, because I don't just want a date. I was interested in a potential relationship with him, and I made that clear in the beginning. But anyway, it looks like we're not going to be suitable for a relationship, so that's the end of that. But I noticed while I was with him that, you know, I was thinking about a relationship with him, and as I was exploring that idea, I was thinking that, you know, there's elements missing in this connection. For one, there isn't actually a deep emotional connection, which I really need to experience and express love feelings and closeness to a person. So there wasn't that much there of an emotional connection. There was some emotional attachment, but not emotional connection. So emotional attachment is when you're actually attached emotionally. You know, you get upset if you know, because you've been physically close, it's going to bond you more. And so it does make you upset. You feel more attached to the person. It's harder to let them go. But emotional connection is when you both connect on a deep emotional level, and you're both kind of feeling the same, and you're both emotionally connected to each other, and you both like really care for each other and have strong feelings for each other. That's the difference. And so if we take if we take sensual, emotional, and aesthetic attraction, that is what I was feeling for this heterosexual guy. Whereas he was experiencing sexual attraction to me, and I would say very high aesthetic attraction as well. But for him, you know, it's clearly a sexual thing more. He's clearly, in his mind when I'm talking to him, he's geared towards the physical. It's very, very based on physical stuff for him, not really emotional or romantic so much, or you know, sensual. It's not really that for him. And so there's kind of a void and a disconnect for me in that arrangement, because personally for me, I need intellectual conversation and stimulus, which I couldn't get with him. I think he is intelligent from what he's studying, but I don't really pick up the intellectual connection. You know, I didn't feel like he was intellectually stimulating me at all much, really. And I have to have that in a relationship. So this is what I was becoming aware of when I was actually dating him, that I need intelligent conversation. Kissing alone is not enough to stimulate me and satisfy me in actual relationship. Say I was with him hypothetically for the rest of my life or a very long time, I thought these elements are missing, and therefore it wouldn't be good for me to actually be in a relationship with this guy at this point in time. And so, but I was interested in having a relationship with him as well at the same time. It's kind of weird, because I think you kind of hope that this stuff will come out later, right? Which it might never do. And that's kind of always a dangerous thing, because you have to deal with what is reality now, not what if. So anyway, I do need to be intelligently stimulated. If I don't have intelligent conversation, there is a disconnect there. If I don't have an emotional connection, there is a disconnect there. If I don't have romantic and sensual attraction stimulus, then that is a void and a disconnect. So for me, I've noticed I'm a very sensual person, and this is why I need to touch a lot in a relationship or even dating scenario, because I like to touch the person. I like to feel connected to the person, and the way I feel connected physically to a guy who I really like is especially holding hands. I love holding hands. It feels so special, magical, and electrical. Now, if the other person's not feeling the same, which he wasn't comfortable, in the end he told me afterwards that he's not comfortable with PDA and holding hands like that, then, you know, that is not good, because it leaves you feeling like you're disconnected from the person, and that, you know, it's not sensually satisfying. It's like that's missing. So I notice I'm a very sensual girl. I do like a lot of touching physically, especially in a relationship. I like a lot of like constant like holding hands and snuggling into the guy and cuddling the guy and kissing him. And I'm used to a relationship. In the past, I was with a guy for 8.5 years in total. I don't miss him, but I do miss the public displays of affection. I miss kissing in public. I miss holding hands in public. I miss going to theme parks, zoos, aquariums, out for meals into cinema, and kissing and cuddling, doing all these things. And in between, like waiting for theme park rides and stuff like that, and in queues, and kissing when we're looking at animals or fish. I miss that. I really do. And I don't want to end up in a relationship where I have less than what I had before in that way, because for me it would just feel like I was deprived, and it would feel like not good. I do not like just being private with kissing, which might sound weird to the majority of the people who do like privacy like that, but I need public kissing as well, because I feel like a caged animal is some dirty little secret. Like, you can be proud to snog me in private, but not in public because you're ashamed or something. And I just like to feel free. I like to feel free as a bird in that way. I don't like to feel like a caged animal, like, oh, we can only do this behind closed doors, this is not etiquette or something. I just rubbish. I know I'm different to the majority of the world on that, and I'm fine with being different, but I just need a guy who's really into that like me, and sees like every day is so special, because you never know when tomorrow you might die, right? And so therefore, if you can kiss your precious one, and you can touch their sweet lips, and you can cuddle them and hold their hand, that is like worth doing, because you can't get those moments back, and it's like electrifying, exciting. I used to think kissing added excitement to going to aquariums and zoos and stuff like that. Obviously, I don't do that with my friends. So for me, with this guy, I was experiencing high levels of sensual, romantic, and aesthetic attraction. Sensual as in I want to hold his hand, and I loved cuddling him and kissing him and being very physical like that. Romantic attraction, I was feeling some romantic attraction for him, as in I was thinking I'd like to hold his hand again. Sensual and romantic kind of go together for me. So like holding hands is a really romantic thing, and it's also a sensual thing. A romance, like, take a romantic walk, which we were on the quayside together, so that was really nice. And like just being cute and cuddly together, that's that type of thing. And then aesthetic, I was so aesthetic attracted to him. I loved his beautiful skin color, his beautiful hair, his beautiful eyes, lips, ears, physique, everything like that. He wasn't skinny like I would usually go for, but I still loved his physique, and he actually goes to the gym, so I liked his shoulders, and so I thought he was really nice like that, and I was really, really super aesthetic attracted to him. But while I was superly aesthetic attracted to him, he was really sexually attracted to me, I think, as well as aesthetically. And so there's two different types of attraction going on there. And so I'm there thinking, you're really beautiful, I want to snog you right now and kiss you and be close to you and cuddle you and touch your hands and everything like that. And he was probably thinking, I wish I could do more. I really wish I could, but I know I can't. But I love kissing her so much, and I want her more and more and more, And so that's a huge difference. And so you've got to understand that people experience attraction in different ways. And it's very difficult if you asexual, who's sex repulsed like I am, and with a heterosexual dating or in a relationship, because there can be a mismatch of attractions and a mismatch of needs there. So you've got to be aware of the difference, like if someone's sexually attracted, they want to do sexual acts, usually like oral sex, like seeing, like washing each other naked, role playing sex games, all that type of stuff. A lot of nakedness, like boob and licking and sucking and private penis licking and sucking, that type of thing. It's kind of very like, the sexual attraction is very geared towards sexual parts, and he didn't get to do any of that with me, obviously, because I'm a sex repulsed asexual and don't want that, especially not in dating. And so but they're kind of thinking that type of thing, and if they're being respectful of boundaries, they're kind of like thinking, I must make sure I don't go here, there, and everywhere, but they want to and think about it. Whereas with me, I don't think about that. I just think about holding their hand, cuddling and kissing, and being cute and sweet together. So it's two completely different mindsets and sets of like thinking and beliefs and stuff like that. So for me personally, I've got to have intellectual stimulation, sensual stimulation, aesthetic attraction, romantic attraction, and those elements have all got to be there. And so there's got to be aesthetic, romantic, sensual, and intelligence, really, for me to be happy in a dating scenario or relationship scenario. And notice that about myself now. So I find it very intriguing and interesting how much we learn about ourselves when we're actually dating or having a potential relationship, or even in a relationship with someone else, it allows us a great amount of time to reflect on ourselves, on what we truly want. Because for me, with him, I could just tell it was like physical for him. And it was a shame that it was just physical mostly, although I did get on really well chatting to him and stuff. But I could tell it was just all geared towards physicality and aesthetics. There wasn't really, I don't know, he is romantic because he said he wasn't. I can understand he liked like walking with me and stuff like that. So, but for me, there was a huge disconnect. There's like a void there because there wasn't enough of the other attractions and emotional fulfillment and intelligent fulfillment and sensual stimulus to make me feel fulfilled and completely happy in that way. I was happy in the moment kissing him, don't get me wrong. I spent like nearly an hour kissing him and I loved it. And I wished it could have lasted forever, to be honest. But you know, I need an actual relationship, not just a kissing session and that be it, if you know what I mean. I was looking for an actual romantic relationship with a younger Indian guy in the UK in his 20s. So, you know, that's what I wanted and that's what I still want, really, you know. So yeah, I think you've just got to understand that there are differences and that asexuals do experience attraction very differently to sexuals a lot of time. Like sexuals could obviously experience sensual attraction, romantic attraction, aesthetic attraction, but they're not going to really know these type of things so much and split them up like that. They experience sexual attraction, like the look of someone, so obviously aesthetic attraction, and they bundle kind of aesthetic, sexual, and romance kind of together, but really sexual attraction is the main driver and leader usually, often for them. And so they're coming at a relationship or potential dating scenario. It's a completely different angle. Like I'm coming at it from, I really would like to get to know this person. I'm interested in a long-term relationship, but I don't know about them yet. And I'm experiencing like aesthetic and romantic attraction for them and trying to get to know them as a person. I'm looking for something more, basically. I'm looking for there to be essence and volume and magnitude in the connection, for there to be no void like that, you know, and for us to fulfill each other in a healthy way. So whilst obviously fulfilling ourselves and our own lives. So that was kind of really weird. I did get a message from him, a really nice message, which I wasn't expecting out of the blue because I have blocked him on Facebook because we're not suitable for a relationship, where he said, you know, that he'll never forget me and he couldn't stop thinking about the kiss, which was really nice. And that he listened to my video and it brought tears to his eyes, which was really sweet. You know, and I'll always be his kissing soulmate, which is great. I'm really happy about that. But I wished I was actually his life partner soulmate rather than just a kissing soulmate, you know? And to be honest, I'm thinking, well, how can you even kiss anyone else? If I'm your kissing soulmate, how can you be in a relationship with anyone else in the future? If I'm really your kissing soulmate, because, you know, you're then going to be with someone else who you know is not actually your soulmate. You know what I mean? Unless they've got more than one soulmate, which some people believe they do. So yeah, it's kind of weird, but you know, it's a nice message from him. But you know, I wanted more. I was looking for an actual relationship, which he knew before I met him. I made that perfectly clear. But yeah, so I guess it's not to be, or at least not at the moment, but I don't think it's ever meant to be, probably because he wants different things. And like I said, I have the void of like not having the other fulfillment there, like the intelligence the intelligent stimulus, more sensual stimulus, more romantic stimulus. You know, intelligent romance and aesthetics are very important to me, as in sensual attraction is as well, you know. So I think, you know, when you are dating and looking to get into a relationship, make sure that you are not selling yourself short and you're looking at all the different types of attractions that are really important to you, to make sure that you're actually getting them fulfilled in as many ways as possible. Because you don't want to like get into a relationship and feel there's a void and a disconnect and that it's just not enough, you know. You can't rely on a person for all your happiness, don't get me wrong, you can't do that, but there has to be enough stimulus there for, like, if you're going to be with a person for the rest of your life, there needs to be something there for the rest of your life in terms of like things, elements that you look for in a relationship. Like I cannot be in a relationship where they're not doing public displays of affection because it's just not good for me. It feels awful and I hate it. I don't like that type of relationship. And so, you know, you have to understand that people experience attractions very differently towards one another. particularly if it's heterosexual versus asexual. So you have to understand they're coming from a completely different point of view. And like I said, if you feel that as an asexual person there's something lacking in that relationship or dating scenario, just understand that that's okay. And if that person's just experiencing sexual attraction for you, not much else, you're going to feel a void. You're going to feel like something's off. They're disconnected. You can't really reach the heart and soul of your person. You can't really feel what they feel totally. That, because I'm very emotionally driven, I guess, but I'm very emotionally intelligent, and I can feel people's emotions, and I can feel a guy's emotions. But if there is something blocking it, so say the guy's being dishonest, deceiving, or lying, say he's just not showing everything to me about his true personality, true soul, and he's just going through the motions, he's being very kind of artificial in his connection, very withdrawn, very keeping his distance with his heart, I can tell all that, and it just makes a huge disconnect for me in terms of emotional connection, and it doesn't feel quite right. Like, I can still enjoy kissing to a certain extent and love it, but if the other elements aren't there, then clearly that's not going to be good for me long term. So I think when you're looking for any dating or relationship scenario, you need to really find a person who will fulfill your attractions and stimulus as much as possible. Because if you're looking to get into a relationship for the rest of your life, you don't want to be with someone who down the line is going to be boring for you to be with. I know that might sound cruel and horrible, but you can't expect a person to bring you all the happiness, and you can't expect them to stimulate you all the time, and you can't expect them to like be the be all and end of your happiness. That's not what I'm saying. That's bad to think that they're responsible for that. They're not. You're responsible for your happiness. But if you're having needs that are mismatched and not being met, then that's not going to be good for either of you. Like, if there's a highly sexual guy, I don't want him to be with me. I want him to find someone who's got the equal amount of sexual attraction and sexual appetite as he has, because I'd rather him be happy. But people who experience sexual attraction, that is the main driver for them to get into a relationship, use your dating scenario in the first place. And they do have to realize that down the line there are other elements of a relationship, and if those elements aren't present, they are probably going to eventually wake up to the fact that there's something not quite right. And especially if they're a conscious person, there's a lot of people in the world that aren't living consciously. What does this mean? It means they're not using that extra 10% of their brain that questions things and questions the norm and the status quo. They're not looking deep ahead. So if I'm looking to get into a relationship with someone, I'm thinking deep ahead. I'm thinking, like, can I be with this person like 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years from now? Like, how would that look? Is there things that is missing in the connection? Like, for asexual particularly, we love for a deep emotional connection. If there's no emotional connection there, or very little, there's going to be a huge void. And sometimes it takes a while for emotional connection to happen. Sometimes it takes quite a long time, so it doesn't mean to say that someone you're not that emotionally connected to, you couldn't become emotionally connected to. And I think people also don't realize this, like I said with the young Indian guy I was kissing, I loved it so much, but I wasn't that emotionally connected to him. I did have emotional attachment, some emotional attachment, not emotional connection that much, and that did feel strange because I'm not used to that. I'm used to that in clubs, but when you're actually dating and you're looking for a potential relationship, you've got to know the person a bit more, it's more weird. If it's just a club, then it's different, because you don't expect to make an emotional connection. It's all just the physical stuff with no intention or expectation of anything else. But if you're in a dating scenario, especially when I'm meeting these guys through Facebook dating, I'm on there saying I'm looking for friendship, chatting, or relationship. I used to just put relationship, but now I put friendship and chatting as well. It works out better that way, because I think you have to be friends with someone, at least have an essence of friendship, before you actually date them or get into potential relationship with someone. And so, there has to be more than just physical attraction. And so you have to understand that if you are dating a heterosexual guy, for them, if it's just sexual attraction, physicality, it's unlikely to fulfill you as an asexual person. An asexual person does need other stuff. They usually need things in common, like hobbies and interests, things to talk about, because we're not focused on the physical sexual side of things, you know. We often need, like I said, we usually love for a deep emotional connection, because our love is not about the body at all. Our love is about the soul and the heart, and even the mind at times as well. For me, it's strongly connected to mind. I need a kind of intellectual connection as well. But some asexuals like myself are very sensual, like I said, and sensual, you know, it's all about touching and feeling the person. So I notice with the guy's upper body, I'm like that, not below the waist. But with the guy's upper body, actually though, I do like sitting on a guy's lap or in between sex if I'm kissing him, particularly in a relationship more. So usually, obviously in my club, I'm just standing face to face kissing. I'm not sat on his lap or anything like. Usually I just do that in a relationship. But the other day when I was kissing the 21-year-old heterosexual guy, I was sitting on his lap, which I did really like, but I would prefer to do that in a serious committed relationship. So for me, then I do have different boundaries with kissing. I do have different things, you know, that I like. I don't want to kiss a guy in private in my home unless I'm actually in a relationship with him. I just think that type of thing should be, you know, it's more serious and stuff like that. I used to, years ago, I have had guys to my home years ago, but I don't do that anymore unless I'm in a relationship, and even then it's tough because I don't like sleeping in front of a guy, and it's really hard to do that. So so I don't usually do that anymore. But you know, I just think there is a mismatch of needs there if the person is highly heterosexual and they're just driven towards you in a sexual manner, because it means they disregard you as a person. They're not looking into your heart. They're not connecting with your soul. They're not giving you intelligent stimulus unless they are. I mean, some heterosexuals are different. Like, I've met some heterosexual on Facebook dating. There's one guy I'm talking to who's Indian, 29. He is lovely to talk to. I have got an intelligent connection with him, but we're not actually dating. We're on a dating app together, talking to each other, but we've never had a date or talked about having one. But he is really nice to talk to. I do have some connection to him because I can feel I am intelligently connected to him. He likes a lot of the same stuff as me, like personal and professional development, mindset stuff. I think he's spiritual. He talks to me about his life and what makes him feel passionate and stuff like that. And so for me personally, like, I kind of have more elements with the guy in terms of attractions and in terms of stimulus. I have more with the guy I'm talking to on Facebook dating when I'm not even dating him than I did with the 21-year-old. But with the 21-year-old, I had all the like high aesthetic attraction and loved kissing him. Like, don't get me wrong, I absolutely adored that. It was the best time I've had. It was the best time I've had kissing a guy ever in my life, because he was the look I like. Everything just felt so good and right. And I loved it so much. But in terms of the other elements of a potential relationship, for example, rather than just focusing on physical stuff, you know, there was things that were missing that I noticed. And I'm like, I couldn't be in a relationship with a guy who was just focused on the physical, because it would just not be satisfying enough for me. You know, in life, you know, asexuals deserve to be satisfied as well in relationships. We deserve to have, you know, physical touch and stuff in ways that we want it as well. It's not just about the sexuals, it's about the asexuals as well, you know. And so you just have to understand that some people are so sexually driven that the other elements could be missing. And if the other elements aren't there, for me personally, you know, it's not going to satisfy me long term, and there's going to be something missing and sad that I'm kind of not having my needs met. So just because you're asexual doesn't mean to say you don't have romantic or aesthetic or sensual or intelligence needs, or, you know, relationship needs. It's very important that you nourish your needs and that you do get them met just as much as sexual. So it's going to be difficult if you are at a sex repulsed asexual being with a highly heterosexual person, because obviously they usually need sex. If not, it relies on them having masturbation, really, or you both compromising on sex acts. But you know, if you're sex repulsed asexual and hate all types of sex, then it really just leaves the person, if they're monogamous and want to be faithful, to masturbate, you know. Or just ride with the feeling, unless they can like explode naturally. But yeah, that's going into a bit much detail, isn't it, for a Tuesday afternoon when I'm streaming this live. But yeah, so you know, always understand that sensual attraction is touching, feeling, doesn't have to be sexual. It can just be like you feel really close to the person, you feel like warm and snuggly, and like you love touching them because you want to be physically close to them and you want to feel physically connected to them. Romantic attraction is when you want to do romantic things such as hold hands, cuddle, kiss, and touching can be part of that, like touching their arm, shoulder, and that can feel romantic, you know. And then aesthetic attraction is the look, the way they look, so their facial appearance, their overall physique, that type of thing. And then intelligence attraction as well is when someone intelligently stimulates you, and people find different things intellectually stimulating, you know. So it's whatever you personally like. I like talking about business, talking about personal professional development, self-development, talking about web design, that type of thing. I find that really intelligent conversation, and, you know, knowledge about the world and skills and stuff like that. And then sexual attraction is basically when a person looks at you and really wants sex with you. And if they're really highly sexually driven, they'll want more and more sex with you, and they'll look at you and see you as a kind of sex object that I've got to have, you know. And so that's kind of a huge difference. So always be mindful of these different types of attractions. And sometimes they do or are mismatched, because someone has really strong sexual attraction, sexual desire, but that's what they're driven by, and they don't have sensual, romantic, or aesthetic, or they have a lot less, then that could just not work. Because if you're sex repulsed asexual, like I am, for example, the sexual person don't get their needs met if they're not having sex. And then if you're, you know, if the person's not experiencing aesthetic, sensual, romantic attraction towards you, or giving you that stimulus, then that could be missing for you. And therefore, you know, there's, other than the physicality stuff like the chemistry, because you can still have chemistry if you're asexual, then, you know, there ends up being not enough there to work with for a potential relationship or future relationship. So always be aware of these different types of attractions going on. I'm glad that I've had the experience lately, and I know that I really need, besides kissing, I do need kissing a lot. Like, I can kiss for up to 3 hours, not get bored. An average kissing it would be hour for me would be great, you know. So I do need that, but I'd say that's probably 1/3 of the relationship, or 1/4 of the relationship. I would need intelligent stimulation and a deep emotional connection as well, and for there to be obviously aesthetic attraction there. So I would say, like, you know, 1/3 should be kissing, 1/3 should be intellectual stimulation, 1/3 should be a emotional connection, like, you know. And yeah. And then, but I have to have sensual as well. So I have to kind of have all those elements: sensual, aesthetic, romantic, and intelligence, attraction and stimulus all at once, and, you know, deep emotional connection as well. So like I said, you know, just learn and grow from any relationships or dating scenario you have. Learn that sometimes people are not meant to stay in your life. They can come and go. It can be really hurtful, and some people do actually come back in your life when they realize, oh my god, I made a mistake, what's happened, I need to get that person back. Doesn't happen very often, I don't think, that it, you know, that you actually get back together and it's happy. But I do know that some people do get back together and they are happy. So it can work in the end. But, you know, I think there's got to be a lot of bridges built before then, a lot of trust regained. So yeah, anyway, I hope you found this video useful, helpful, insightful. If you have, please give it an emoji. Pop a comment down below. Love to know what you think. And yeah, I'll see you soon on the next video live stream. Thumbs up this video. Thumbs up if you like it. Subscribe if you haven't already, and hit that bell icon so you get notified of every time I go live like now, post a new video. Lots of love to you. Bye. Bye.